Hi, good afternoon, students. It's Mr. Young here. So today we're going to be working on 2.3, dividing mixed numbers. Our standard today is going to be 6th grade number sense A. And also, your objective is that by the end of this lesson, you will be able to compute quotients with mixed numbers and solve problems that involve division with mixed numbers. Your mathematical literacy, again, is reciprocals and multiplicative inverses. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, welcome to my video about dividing mixed numbers with lesson 2.3. Just a reminder that we need to remember that when we divide mixed numbers, that you have to convert the mixed numbers to improper fractions and then divide. All right, so let's look at our problem. We have 7.5 divided by 1 9/10. Okay, so for the dividend here, the dividend 7.5. Notice that your denominator is 2. So all you would do is rewrite the denominator 2. Okay. What you would do next is multiply the denominator times the whole number 7. And so we have 7 times 2, and that's 14. And then you add that to the numerator 1. Okay. And the same thing on this side. So since the denominator is 10, your denominator is 10 here. Okay. Now again, 1 times 10 is 10, and then 10 plus 9 again here. So then when you go ahead and add 14 plus 1 is 15 over 2, and 9 plus 10 is going to be 19 over 10. So we did the first step of converting the mixed numbers into improper fractions. Okay, next you would just simply do what we learned before, and that's dividing fractions. So your dividend, 15 over 2, remains the same, just rewrite it. And your dividend number, basically on the left side of the division sign, never reciprocates. Okay, so just rewrite it as is. Your division symbol, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and write the multiplicative inverse. So in other words, the opposite of division is multiplication. When we change the sign, we have to reciprocate the divisor fraction, 19 over 10. So that becomes 10 over 19. And then from here, you would just multiply across. Okay. So you know that 15 times 1 is going to be 15, and just add that 0. Okay, nice little trick there. And of course, 19 times 2. So 2 times 9 is 18. To carry your 1 there. And 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. Pretty cool. And then from here, all we would do is go ahead and divide. So when we divide here, we're not actually dividing, but rather we're just reconverting this improper fraction 150 over 38 into a mixed number. So we're just reconverting it back to a mixed number. Okay, so in this case, we're just going to go ahead and write the division bar. Now, your numerator is your dividend, which goes inside the box. Your denominator is your divisor that goes outside the box. Just a rough estimate, 38 times 3 would be 114. And then, of course, 150 take away 114 would be 36. And this would now be your whole number 3 is your quotient. And then 36, your remainder, is going to be your numerator. 38, your denominator, or your divisor would be your denominator. So what we can do is still reduce that by, let's see, maybe by 2. Half of 36 is going to be 18. Half of 38 is 19. So 19 is a prime number, and that's your final answer in the simplified form. All right, so just to backtrack, 7.5 divided by 1 9/10 is going to be 3 and 18 over 19 as a final answer. All right, the second part of 2.3 dividing fractions is you're going to come across a problem that involves the order of operations. So let's go ahead and revisit the order of operations. So the rules of the order of operation, you have gamma, the groupings, then the exponents, then the multiplicative operations, and then the additive operations. So for the grouping part, we want to simplify the innermost parentheses or grouping symbols. Okay, so you have brackets and all these absolute value and all this good stuff. So we want to go ahead and look at that and do that first. The second step is that we want to simplify all the expressions that have exponents. Once you're done with that, you're going to multiply and divide from left to right, whichever comes first for your multiplicative operations. And then last, your additive operations of addition and subtraction, whichever comes first from left to right. Okay, moving on. So we have a problem here. We're still dividing fractions, but this time it involves the order of operations. The most important thing you need to do is look at the operation symbols. So you have addition and you have division. Okay. Now in this problem, there is no grouping symbols. There's also no exponents. But there is a multiplicative operation, which is division. So in this case, what we want to do is we want to ignore that first mixed number 3 3/5 and the addition sign, and we'll come back to that later. Okay, so the first step is to convert that mixed number into an improper fraction for 4 4/15. Now, because your denominator 15 is your denominator, rewrite it. And then, of course, multiply your denominator times your whole number. So 15 times 4 is 60. And then 60 plus 4 is going to be 64 over 15. Okay. So, and then if you want to do that, go ahead. So 64 over 15. And then the opposite of division is multiplication. So you write the multiplicative inverse here of division, which is multiplication. Once you do that, you have to reciprocate the divisor problem. So 4 over 9 becomes 9 over 4. And then you would multiply. Now 15 times 4 is going to be your denominators that you multiply. 64 times 9 is the numerators that you multiply. Okay. Now 64 times 9 would be 576. And then 15 times 4 will be 60. Okay. So there's your improper fraction. 576 over 60. Now, I'm going to rewrite that here, 576 over 60, okay? And then bring the other improper fraction down with the symbol. Okay, good. Now, from here, we're just going to ignore all that because we converted. And the same thing. What you'll have to do is convert that mixed number into an improper fraction again. So let's go ahead and do that. So since your denominator 5 is 5, rewrite it. And 5 times 15, or 5 times 3 is 15, plus 3 is going to be 18 over 5. Okay. Good. Now think to yourself, you cannot add or subtract fractions at all if your denominators are not the same. So in this case, 5 and 60 is not the same. But what can you do to make them equivalent? How will you make them the same? Well, if you can multiply 12 times 5, that will be 60. But remember, what you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. So 12 times 5 is 60. 12 times 18 will be 216. All right. So what do you notice? Well, do you have the same denominators now? Well, yes, you do. 60. Good. Now we would add now. Okay. So let's go ahead and add this. All right. So do some mental math here. Okay. You have 216 plus 576. You would just add your numerators only. That would be 792. And then your denominators, you do not add those, but rather you just rewrite it. Okay.
Now you have the improper fraction 792 over 60. Okay, so what you'll have to do is reconvert that back into a mixed number. So I'll write this here, 792. The numerator goes inside the box as a dividend. The denominator 60 is your divisor, so it goes outside the box. Now 60 can go into 79 one time. 60 times 1, 60. 79 take away 60 is 19. Bring down your 2. Now 60 can go into 192 3 times. And 60 times 3 will be 180. 2. Okay, there you go. Now, important, that quotient 13 becomes your whole number. And your remainder 12 is going to be your numerator. And then your divisor 60 is going to be your denominator. But what you can do is you can still reduce that. They are both divisible by 12. Okay, now 12 can go into 12 once. 12 can go into 65 times. Final answer in the reduced form is going to be 13 1/5. All right, so there you go. Open this back up, zoom out just a bit. Okay, so your original problem started off as 3 3/5 plus 4 4/15 divided by 4 9. Your answer, 13 1/5. Okay. Well, again, don't freak out with the math. Remember, you already know how to do the order of operations with Gemma, doing the grouping symbols first, and then the exponents, and then the multiplicative operations, whichever comes first from left to right, and then the additive operations, what comes first from left to right. Okay, you already know how at this point, you know how to divide fractions, and you also know how to divide or multiply fractions as well. Your latest skill, now you also know how to divide mixed numbers. Okay, so hope you enjoyed it. All right, so you should be able to, at this point, be able to write a mixed number as an improper fraction. You should also be able to divide with mixed numbers, and also be able to evaluate expressions that involve mixed numbers using the order of operations, and also be able to explain division of mixed numbers. All right, well, we'll talk to you guys later. Again, come to tutoring every day from 2:30 to 3:30 with Mr. Young. We'll see you there. Get your work done. Don't procrastinate.